Yo. It's been a long time coming, but finally we're back with another episode. I know for you guys there's been no change really, but for us we haven't filmed in a while, so we're back with another episode. As usual, I'm one of your hosts, Ebony.
It's your boy Tyler, and today we got a guest with us. If you'd just like to introduce yourself real quick.
Yep, my name's Ian. I'm CEO of Charity Bounce.
Nice.
Beautiful. Alright, as you guys know, we've got a few of our segments. So for our first one, I mean, I call it This Week in Basketball, but it's not been a week. So I think the biggest impact there's been from the last time we filmed has been the trades.
Yeah, definitely some crazy trades going around. Some last minute ones out of nowhere, really, and definitely shaped up the NBA for the rest of the season and even the future seasons. Most notable one, obviously, Luka for AD. That literally came out of nowhere. It's like, I don't think anyone in the whole world would have expected that. But, I mean, we're here now. Yeah. And
especially with that one too, like, I'm sure you guys have figured out I really don't care about NBA unless it's Miami Heat. But that one I was like, hold on, whoa, what's going on? That one, interested me a bit. And then, of course, got to talk about both of our teams. Yeah. Jimmy Butler to the Warriors. I'm still a bit sad, I'm not going to lie. Now I have to support Warriors a bit alongside Miami.
Should be blessed, the best team, in the NBA. So at first I was a bit iffy about Butler coming. Like, he's old, he's kind of injury prone. But so far, hey, we've been balling with him. Yeah. Had to let go of Wiggins, was a big part of that championship. But at the end of the day, you got to move forward. So
yeah, that's I've not switched up on Miami, but I've added in Golden State. So my new thing is Golden State or Miami. One of us, we're winning the championship. So we'll see what happens. Do you know anything about NBA, or did you hear anything about those trades?
No, I think Luka was a shock to everyone, like you said, and I think Butler was a great addition for the Warriors, absolutely. And Steph really is amazing in his own right, but to have a player like Butler, I think is a great compliment and frees up the floor for him. So, which is I think why he can get like 56. That
was crazy.
So I think they're pretty amazing trades for both those teams.
Yeah, definitely. No offense to who Miami got, but we'll see. We'll see how Miami goes. We're still struggling a bit. For some reason, we're always doing good, and then the fourth quarter, I don't know what happens. Miami just wants to decide to lose it. Like every single game, we can be up 20, 30, doesn't matter. Fourth quarter comes, and now we're losing by 5.
It's tough out here. As a Warriors fan, I've definitely felt a lot of those type of losses. So, Anyways, but before we start, usually I want to head into like a quiz about the NBA and stuff like that. And, I like to tailor it towards the guest. And seeing as you're the chief executive officer at Charity Bounce, some of these questions are like behind the scenes kind of, not really about the players exactly, okay. But yeah. So pretty hard ones if I'm being honest. So I'm not expecting you to get them all, but
could be a foul coming up here, but that's all right. I'll learn something in the process.
So who was the most recent winner of the NBA Executive of the Year award?
No idea.
It was
Adam Silver, probably gave it to himself. Who knows at some point?
Brad Stevens from the Celtics.
Oh, there you go. Yep.
And then we got a little bit easier, but still on the hard side. Who is the GM of the Golden State Warriors?
Oh, the GM.
We recently got a new one, actually. Signed this season.
I don't know the old one or the new one, but I do know some of the players.
It's actually
and coach amazing. Yeah.
Mike Dunleavy Jr. He actually played for Warriors back in his day, and
I love seeing players take on GM roles.
It's nice to see
support that 100%
change. This one honestly came to a surprise to me. Even I thought it was going to be a freebie, and then when I searched up the actual answer, it was someone I didn't expect. So I don't expect anyone to really get this one. But who is the GM? General manager of the Heat.
Again, no idea. I'm like 0 from all shots at the moment. I'm shooting a 0% right now.
See, I thought it was easy. I thought it was Pat Riley because that's what you always hear about. Then I searched it. He's like the
what's it called? The president or something.
I don't know. He has like the final say
when he wants to, and leaves when he wants to. That one.
The actual answer was actually Andy Ellisberg.
Oh, there you go.
So yeah, and then we got who was the general manager of MJ's Bulls? So the Bulls when Michael Jordan played.
Oh, I know that name, but I've forgotten. Well, he wasn't too popular with some of them.
Yeah.
But yes, I've forgotten his name, but as soon as you say it, I'll know it.
The only reason I even know it was from The Last Dance, watching it on Netflix and stuff, but Jerry Krause.
Yes, yeah.
And then now we finally got a question about a player. I'll give you a hint. It might be around, her favorite team. But who won the Eastern Conference Finals MVP in the 2023 season?
The 2023 season.
And I'll give you a clue. It was the Heat that won that series. So
Jimmy Butler, I don't know.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I
Jimmy
got
Butler.
one right, thank you.
Yeah.
And kind of a curveball, but chuck that one in there because a lot of people don't actually know, but growing up and stuff, he was actually homeless. And to see how he made his way and progressed all the way to NBA, truly proves that anyone can do it with the hard work. And
I love Jimmy. And when he was at the Philadelphia, it's like you just saw the grit and determination in him. Obviously, that's come from a bit of his background. Yeah. He's a fighter, for sure.
He's definitely a killer. And then to finish it off, we usually get a couple nicknames, NBA player nicknames, if you can get the player. So start with the Big O.
Hakeem Olajuwon.
Close, but Oscar Robertson.
Oh, yeah, we're very good. Yeah.
Then we got a current player who's, hasn't really been playing, but we got the process.
Don't know that one.
That one's actually Joel Embiid.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Recently got shut down for the season, which is unfortunate. But then we got the point guard. He's also been playing for a long time, 20 years. He's still currently playing.
I don't know who that is. Kyrie, who knows?
That one's Chris Paul.
Oh, okay, yes. Yeah, that makes sense.
And then we got the brow, last one.
No idea again.
That one's Anthony Davis because of, he's rocking the unibrow.
Oh, there you go.
Interesting fashion choice, but yeah. And that's all. I don't blame you for not getting much. This was definitely the hardest set of questions because usually it's about the players and stuff.
Usually people assume I know something about basketball, which I don't know a lot about basketball. I'm more into the social side.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
He came to me with the questions. He's like, "Oh," I'm like, "What are you gonna do for the questions?" He's like, "Oh, don't worry." I did some behind the scenes. I'm like, I don't think he's gonna know those questions either.
No, unfortunately, my first love wasn't basketball. It was social impact. So it's like basketball. I was a late bloomer on that, and still have a lot to learn. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Don't worry, me too. I didn't know the answer to even the Miami Heat question. Well, I knew the last one, obviously, with Jimmy. But yeah, the general manager, I'm like, I don't know who the manager is.
Wow. Yeah.
All right. And so our next segment, as we know, the podcast is called Basketball Culture. So we'd like to ask you, what is your definition of basketball culture?
Yeah, well, I guess we're leading in from my inability to answer most questions. For me, I'm a very late bloomer, probably 2014. I worked at the NBL, never followed basketball in my life prior to that. So really been learning ever since then. But prior to that, I'd always been engaged in youth work. So the culture of basketball for me has always been about inclusion and a place where you can jump on a court, even if you've never played the game before, and you can catch a ball, you can catch a rebound, you probably can't shoot or dribble. But for me, it was one of those really unique sports, which is probably what drew me to it now, is in its inclusion and able for anyone to have a go, anyone to participate, young people with disabilities, just anyone on the court can actually get involved in a game, which is there's not many sports you can do that. So for me, the culture of basketball is about inclusion and turning up on the side of a court and then saying, hey, come and play. So I feel like just this whole inclusion piece around basketball is quite amazing, welcoming people from different backgrounds, different cultures, different personalities. You got your quiet guys, you got your loud guys, everybody's welcome in the game. So I just think that inclusion piece is the critical part of the culture of basketball for me, the bit that really attracts me to it.
Yeah, I say this every time, but I really love that definition just because as well, we recently just went to Ghana. And more on that later. Yep. But we went to the basketball court one of the days because, we love basketball. We got to go there. And, a few of the places I was feeling a bit out of place. Even though I am Ghanaian, I was still, they look at you differently because, I'm a bit light. But went to the basketball court and then just straight away fit in. And like the first day, me and my other brother Ziggy went, and we didn't have a basketball. We just went there, and he's like, "Oh, people were playing yesterday." I'm like, "All right, mate. I don't know what's gonna happen." So we get there, and then they're like doing this strength and conditioning thing on the court. So they're not even doing basketball. And we're like, great. So we just stood there watching a soccer match that was happening. Then those people left, and this guy came who had a ball, and he's like, go talk to him. I'm like, me talk to him? You talk to him. So I just went to the court. I was too scared to obviously approach him, and I'm like, might as well do some fitness.
Yeah, give it a go.
Did some suicides, and then when I finished, he just passes me the ball, and I'm like, yo,
it's like it's go time.
Put in the hard work, and you get recognized. So yeah, but that inclusion was there. You show up in another country, and straight away you're included just through the love of basketball.
Yeah, and I feel that's the thing. You just turn up, and someone will be there, and there's probably going to be a game that you can jump in on.
Exactly.
You don't have to even speak a language or the language of the place. And I just think it's one of those games that invites people, whereas if you could sit on a soccer pitch or something else and you just watch the game. No one would say, come on, get involved, So it's a beautiful sport like that, absolutely.
Yeah, I think even with that language one as well, like I was like at the end on the second day when we finished up, I was like, oh, let me sign out. I'm like, do they even know what sign out means? Like, is that a universal basketball term, or is that just like an English basketball term? And they were like, oh, she wants to sign out. I'm like, oh, they do know. So like you just said, it doesn't matter what language, everyone speaks the basketball language if you're playing.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Great way to feel united and stuff, even different countries, different languages across the whole world. Basketball really connects everyone. And it's interesting hearing how like you weren't really into basketball at the start, because most of our guests were like had dreams, aspirations to become a basketball player. So just going into that, kind of what was your childhood like, and like kind of growing up, and how did you eventually find your way into like social studies, but also like the basketball side of it?
Yeah, well, I guess, I think from a young age, I was kind of always interested in social impact. So I was working in youth work when I was 16 years old, getting involved at local youth centres, and I was working, employed, studied psychology, studied social work, and really been started working out with young people since really I was 17 years old. Never stopped really ever since then. So my whole passion has been making a difference. And I think young people, I've always loved young people because I used to work with families and young people as well. But young people are so open to change and open to learning about themselves. And if you can lead them down a path that goes towards a better future for them, they'll normally say, yeah, I'll give it a go. Whereas adults can be a bit stuck and rigid, it can be quite limited, and trying to get them to move anywhere can be quite challenging. Whereas young people are just like, yeah, I'll give it a go and I'll try it. And this could lead there. Yes, why not? I'll, go to another country, I'll start this, I'll ask that person and just take a lot more risks. So I love that about working with young people. So my passion has always been young people. Then I worked in homeless services for a number of years. And I think that's where I probably started using basketball, because all the other youth work I'd done would be like pick-up games everywhere, and you'd play basketball with the guys at, like drop-in centres, those kind of things. But then when I started youth homelessness, a lot of those guys had never done sport, not really involved in sport. Living on the streets doesn't really promote that opportunity very often. A lot of them hadn't been at school, didn't go to school. So we actually used basketball as one of the sports we would use because you didn't have to be good at it. You didn't have to know how to play it. You just we got them on the court. Everyone had fun. It's also a small group of people, so very inclusive. So I think that's probably the first point where I really appreciated the inclusion of basketball. And then I accidentally, over the years, sort of always been involved with young people and working with young people, and then got involved with the National Basketball League at some point when they were transitioning into the private owners were taking more charge of the league. And I think at that point was when I really started to be involved in basketball in a whole different way than I never had before. Didn't follow NBA, didn't follow the National League here. But I had to learn it all real fast because I was involved in the head office. And even though it was administrative, a lot of it, I still had to figure out who was who and how it all worked. And I think that's the one thing I noticed even in basketball with the athletes, because I'd done some stuff in NRL before, but nothing wrong with NRL players, but I think the basketball teams are smaller, so a smaller group of people, very committed to each other, very considerate of each other, so very thoughtful. And actually, I found the whole mentality and the culture of the players was really inclusive and about let's do something for others as well as just for ourselves. So very much about thinking about social impact programs, those kind of things. I found that straight away, so which was pretty amazing.
Love that backstory. Backtracking a bit, we asked you to bring a special item with us. So could you show us your item and tell us what it means to you?
Yes. So this one is a painting that was done by Audrey McCormack, who's one of the elders out in the Nuenti community out in near Alice Springs in Central Australia. She's one of the matriarchs of their community. And I think this is really special to me because when, like I said, I'm not a basketball guy. I haven't really been, don't really collect jerseys, don't even have one actually. So I don't even have a single one. The only shirts I wear that are basketball charity bouts. But this painting is actually a representation of the relationship between their community and charity bouts. So she painted it for charity bouts. So it's actually, you can see sort of there's round shapes which are like basketballs, but then the connections around them are the people and how basketball has connected our community, their community and charity bouts in our community, and the players and the athletes that we've taken out there. And we've had a relationship with them. This was pretty much the first time we went out there, and we've been going out ever since. Built a basketball court in that community now with the 2K Foundation a few years ago. And so just always been growing. They're about to start a weekly program. Some of the coaches that have been through our program is going to be those coaches, and that's all about to happen. So I think especially right now, because we've always talked about regular programs and young people coming up through the community that can be leaders, and that's actually happening now after a few years working with these guys. So this is special just because it represents charity bouts, their community. Central Australia is an important part of what we do, and just a commitment to First Nations young people out there. So I think that's sort of summarise what that's about.
It's beautiful piece of artwork there too. And I think going off what you said, you didn't have any knowledge of basketball or anything, just with the social impact. So how did you said when you went into the NBL, that's when you're like, oh, I gotta brush up real quick. How did that journey become happen? And yeah,
I was kind of thrown into it because I knew some guys from the Sydney Kings and one of the owners there, and got me involved at the head office. It was just like, can you just help us out a couple of days a week? It turned into 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days a week. It was just a very dramatic point of transition. And I ended up working with the broadcast partners, with different clubs, all the GMs at the club. So I knew all the GMs in Australia. I didn't know any of the NBA ones, but at that stage. And then really just sort of got my hands involved in everything. So I was working with coaches and with the referees and all those kind of things. So there was just a lot of stuff happening, and it was a big transition a few years before Larry Kesselman took over the league, a few years down the track after that. And at that point, so I had nothing to do with social impact while I was there. It was all administration and just getting things organised. And then it sort of moving towards the end of that, I was like, I'd love to do, I sort of was missing the social impact side. So just said, let's see what we can do and what's possible. And then the league ended up moving down to Melbourne. I've got my family just set up in Sydney, so I started working with the Sydney Kings and working on their community initiatives, and got back into that space, which I was really happy about.
Yeah, I love that. Just that you always had in the back that you wanted to continue that social impact, that social, helping people.
Yeah.
And so how did your childhood and kind of your backstory play into that? Were you always, you said that, you always really wanted to impact people and stuff like that.
Yeah. I think I've always kind of had that in me. And, we didn't have a lot growing up. So, and I moved around a lot. So I think by the time I was 22, I'd lived in 22 houses. So I'd lived in America for a few years and lived in Sydney mostly, Wollongong, and lived in LA and lived in Chicago. So I'd seen a lot as well across all that, moving a lot, and different cultures and different approaches. And we didn't have a lot. So it was always kind of struggling to survive. And I think during that time, I just got real interest in people just in general. So I love just talking to people about their stories and what's happening. And then I guess through that process, as I started to grow up and think about career and what I wanted to do, leaving school, really that. So I study psychology and social work, really just to make a difference. And then I got to say, like, you know, I don't talk about it a lot, but my faith was a really big part of that as well. So I guess I felt like I had a responsibility to the world to do what I could to see change, because I knew there was a lot of challenges that people face and a lot of challenges across the world. So for me, it was like, okay, I have a responsibility to do what I can about that and action it where I can and take some places, which I guess is where I ended up in working with homeless young people, which is one of the most challenging groups. And they have the most challenging backgrounds most of the time, a lot of times abuse and different things that have been in their own histories. So I think I've just always felt a sense of responsibility that we're not here for ourselves, we're here to make a difference in the world.
Adding on to some of the challenges and like how you talked about the homeless youth, is there like any specific way or like how you approach them, like to build trust and stuff, considering they've dealt with the abuse and stuff?
Yeah, I think that's something that carries through now in Charity Bouts really clearly. As I've always been, so I studied psychology, but my lean was always towards hope and positive psychology. So I felt like my experience of when someone's in need, if you talk about their problems nonstop, you feel worse and you feel like I don't have a solution to any of them. So for me, the big one is hope. So trying to let them say, hey, that maybe there's a possible future that's a bit different than the one you're in now. And then the second part of that is actual practical steps towards it. So real pragmatic. So what's the next thing we can do? So I've really got focused on, I still am to this day, on solution focused like approaches. So if your life was going to be better, what would it look like? What would make it half a step better than it currently is now? And then what would you need to be able to achieve that step? So I think the power of hope is really strong for me. But then hope without pragmatic change turns into depression, because you get all excited that something could change, but then nothing changes. And you feel like I had all this energy and I tried something, but it didn't work. So I'm really big on setting people up to win. And back in that, I guess, environment, which I still apply now, is really listening to people, because if people don't want to change, you can't force it on them. So you kind of invite people into, like, give them some sort of hope about what else would you want for your life? What else could it look like? And then maybe they've got to trust you as well. So until they trust you, there's no point trying to lead them anywhere, because especially in that world, they've been betrayed so many times by their own family. Adults that should have cared in their life didn't care. So actually trying to build that safety for them, that I'm a safe person, I actually do want to help, and it's possible that something could actually change if we do a few things. So I think I learnt that about leading people towards change rather than trying to force it on them.
Yeah, I really love that. And, you know, speaking of hope, I have a quote that might feel familiar. When the world says give up, hope whispers, try it one more time. Yeah. Does that sound familiar to you?
Yes, and I have tried to dunk a few times. I'm still not successful, but I will keep trying. Trampolines help with that. But yeah, and that's totally how I believe and how I act. Yeah, I think you've got to just really giving people the opportunity towards something different than they see. I don't care where someone's at. I care where they want to go. And wherever they're at, if I can help them towards where they're going to go, that's what I'll do.
I think that's really beautiful, and a really like admiring trait to have of like a person of like caring about other people, wanting to help other people. Similarly, myself, like I've always wanted that as well, like to help other people ever since I was young. My dream has like always been like, yeah, I want to be a basketball player, I want to be an actor, but the reason behind it was always I want to be in a position in my life where I can give back and help other people, help the homeless, help those who are like struggling in poverty. Like that has always been a thing for me. So I can really relate to like what you're saying and like wanting to make that social impact. And even with like psychology as well, like I feel like I'm pretty similar to you, because even like I just love psychology. Like I really want to learn it. Like I'm going to go back to uni, study it. So I really relate to that and admire that. Like I think it's really great what you're doing and what you have done. And I was wondering if there's any maybe success stories or any stories that you might have to share with us about like working with those people who were at a disadvantage or...
Yeah, well, I guess that the thing for me is like there's been a lot of research around, in particular, like what makes psychology even effective in the first place. And one of the key areas is they call it like the therapeutic relationship, which is really just how you relate to someone and how you treat them and how you view them. And so for me, I've always taken that approach and just really tried to just embrace people for who they are. And I think one of those, because especially when I was in psychology, you get a lot of referrals for self-harm or suicide, and I've seen a lot of things over the years. But I remember getting someone come to see me, and they'd been told they had self-harming, and that's why they sent them to see me. But the first thing I said was, if you woke up tomorrow and your life was a little bit different, what kind of things would be happening for you? So we started on how do you want your life to be different, not what's wrong with you. And then it turned into really just trying to pinpoint some things. And one of them turned into one of the things that they really wanted was they just wanted to go to a movie with their mum and it be normal. So then, part of that, sorry, I'm going to cry this stuff because it just...
Me too.
I know, sorry, I love crying. I need tissues here. No, but then I think, so we got the mum in and they went to the movies together, and that was, for me, it's like the power of hope. So the self-harming was a side issue than everything else. So it was about them having some hope for their lives, reconnecting in some significant relationships. And I think that's the bulk of it for a lot of people. They just want to do well in their life. They're not sure how sometimes. They don't have people to help them. And I think most people in the world, you guys definitely included, most people actually want to help people around them or do something good in life. I mean, that's another one of the studies for life satisfaction in positive psychology. They talk about really for someone to feel like they're flourishing, it's about whatever they do with their time, people want it to feel like it contributes to something larger than themselves. That's just a general principle of humans, because I think we're built to care and we're built for community and we're built to relate to each other. We're built to be part of whatever family we can be, and unfortunately some people don't have healthy opportunities for that. But that's what we're built for, to have people that care about us and to care about other people. So for me, it's like that. I mean, that's just one story. I got thousands of, just even Charity Bounce, like watching yourself even just, doing podcasts now and just coming up. I just love seeing people succeed, and I love to try and be a part of something that helps people succeed, especially in a world where, everyone has got criticism on everyone. Like, I was like, don't be a hater, be a congratulator. You know what I mean? Like, let's congratulate people and lift them up and give them opportunities and try to put ourselves out to help people. Like, if we have more of that in the world, everyone will do better.
Yeah, that's a really beautiful story there. I mean, tearing up. And I think that's like I don't know the words for what I'm trying to say, but like that happens with a lot of people. There's like, you see like, what am I trying to say? Like big things happening, but it's because of like one small thing. Like all they wanted to do was, just go watch a movie with their mum, which just, is like, even you can even take away the movie there and just be like, they just wanted to spend time with their mum and have it be normal. Like, I think that's with a lot of humans, you can find like with problems and even with emotions. Like, I remember I've been to therapy before for myself and my own struggles. And like, I remember one of the like biggest things that like my therapist told me was that anger comes from another emotion. Like there's something else you're feeling that's fueling the emotion, that anger. And that's always been like a biggest thing for me, because I've struggled with anger issues like a lot when I was younger. Like I really used to be a bit crazy. So when they told me that, I had started looking at my anger differently. Like, what am I feeling underneath this anger? And I think you can find that with a lot of things.
Yeah, and I think flipping the angry thing, it's like generally a lot of people have a good reason to be angry. So for me, that's a fight in you. So you wanted to fight back because most people like have times when they feel powerless, not saying you did, but some people, the anger is a reaction to, I want more from myself or I want more from this situation. So listening to the anger, it's about how you manage the anger in the end, but anger is a good thing because it's telling you to fight and step up and to do something about your situation. So I always say I'd rather have 30 frustrated people than 300 that weren't, because frustrated people are driven to change.
Yeah. I think that's beautiful as well. Another thing that I like saying is like your feelings are always valid.
Yep.
Like what you feel is always valid. It's what you do
Yeah.
that might not be valid. Like
Absolutely.
yeah, whatever you feel is valid. Like if you're angry at something, there's a reason why. But it's just making sure, like you said, managing it, making sure we're not being destructible to yourself and others, and
That's a big
kind
piece.
of thing.
Understanding your feelings is a good and healthy thing to do. And most people try to push their feeling downs, unfortunately, which is not a healthy thing to do. So recognizing them, owning them, dealing with them is the best thing you can do.
Yeah, definitely.
You talk about that on the basketball court. That's like players that can't control their emotions. Coaches don't want to work with them. They won't last long on teams. Like it's the ones who know how to manage their feelings because they all get angry and probably want to hit someone on the court because you'd get frustrated. But the ones that can manage that and deal with that and take it into their game, they are more successful generally.
Yeah, it's definitely an underrated part of even basketball, like as you were saying, because so many times you see like a player, you see his highlights or his stats, you're like, damn, like this guy's really good. And it's like no team really wants to pick him up because it's like the off-the-court issues and stuff like that. Like, and it's also ties into how like even some things that are so small or like from outside looking in, it could actually have a big impact on people. Like how if your story, like going to the movies with the mum, like from just the outside looking in, it's like, oh, something small, but to them it really means a lot. And then even how you mentioned how they didn't really have like adults or people who really cared for them and stuff like that. And kind of like looking into a bigger scale, how can you think like corporate organizations and like bigger organizations can like, how can they better support like the social causes and like try to make a change in the community?
Yeah, I think it's it's a good question because it's really hard at the moment with the global thing and everything that's going on. Different companies have different priorities, and I'm a believer in stuff flows down from the leader. So if you've got a leader that actually cares, that will flow down through the organisation. Some organisations do it better than others, but I think within every organisation, no matter who the leader is, there's a bunch of people that wish they could make their job more meaningful and connect with actually making a difference in the world. I think that's the bulk of people that work anywhere. Doesn't mean their leaders let them, but generally what happens is I think a lot of people I know work in different places because they feel like the company actually cares about the world around them, and they'll leave great companies because it doesn't care about the world around them, even though they're getting good money and it's a good job, but they don't last too long there. It's like they use it to tick the box and get the next job and work for someone they actually want to work for. And I love that about young people actually, because I think younger people these days who are starting in jobs, like it's a different mentality now. It's like if you don't deal with me right and you don't deal with other people right, I'll just quit and get another job. Whereas that's a new mentality because like 15, 20 years ago, it wasn't like that. Because like, oh, if I lose my job, I'm in trouble. But these days, I love the fearlessness of young people to say, you know what, I can stand up for what's right. And if I lose my job, so be it. It's okay. I just love that fearlessness.
Yeah, I love that too. Like of our generation, I think, we're really good at doing that and like standing up for what we think is right. And I think that's a beautiful thing to see in the world.
The more the employees and the customers do it, the more the companies have to, even if they don't want to. So I'm like, the power's in the people on that one.
Kind of starts a chain reaction and everything. Just hearing like these stories and stuff, you've obviously expressed a deep passion for making a difference for those in need and kind of helping them through their challenges. And I just want to know if you yourself, like if you face any challenges and how you stay motivated in like trying to really make a difference and get through it.
Like everyone faces challenges. It's like to what degree? I think it generally like all of us have faced challenges, no matter what age you are, and different. Some of them for me, I guess, like grew up with not a lot, but that was okay because I had a family that was good to me, and they didn't have much and struggled in different ways. But I think, then there's health stuff that happens. But even like Charity Bounce a few years ago, probably because when I started it, really it was just kind of me with an idea, and I had some people supporting with Sydney Kings and that at the time, and it was but it was a lot of really hard work, and I was looking after all the social. I haven't looked at social media in like probably a year, but because I was doing it for years, like non-stop while I was running programs and traveling a lot, and so I actually hit probably just like a burnout piece for myself, just because all carrying that, and then your own stuff that happens in your own family and pressures that come around. Everybody has pressures and, like I said, just differing degrees of how intense it is. But there was probably a point where I just felt like I was just exhausted and depleted myself. So, and that's not a healthy place to be. So I have to dress that for myself and slow down and actually just recover and heal. And I'm a big supporter. Emily, like you said, like it's good for people. Like I'm a psychologist, so I'm like, you should talk to people when you need help. Like that's a good thing to do. And unfortunately, the culture has made that difficult, or a bit of stigma every now and then. But I think it's a good thing to talk to people around you, whether it's a psychologist or your friends or anyone, and admit when you're struggling and when things are happening. So during that time, I just had people to talk to and work through it. And then you get healthy and you recover and you get stronger, just like like if you injure yourself on a basketball court, you got to go through a recovery point so that you can be at peak performance again. So just like I think those challenges have happened for myself. But then, I just think life, you see a lot of things. I mean, I'm mid-50s now, so I've seen a fair few things in my life, my own pain and other people's pain. Like I said, when I was working, especially with homeless services over a number of years, and even since then, psychology is one of those ones where you experience a lot of people's pain. So you have to absorb their pain without feeding it back to them. So you've got to be an absorber of people's really horrible situations. And be able to make them feel safe to talk about it. Because if you start crying and can't handle yourself, they'll just stop talking. So you've got to make it safe and comfortable for them. So I feel like I've had a lot of what would be called vicarious trauma over the years, where I've seen some pretty horrendous stuff. And, that has an impact as well. So I'm always thinking, how can I be healthier? How can I have healthy relationships? How can I be healthy in my life? How can I be healthy how I relate to people? How can I be healthy at Charity Bounce? If there's people that work here, how can I make sure they're healthy? So I'm always thinking about health. How do we make that as strong as we can?
Yeah, I want to touch on quickly something that you said about talking. I think like I'm a really strong advocate for like talking to people and opening up when you're feeling like stressed or feeling like negative emotions. Like for me, if someone is struggling with that, then I'll always try and tell them, find someone who like you can talk to. Like can be anyone, can be a random person, maybe a friend, family member, a therapist, if that's what you need. I've always been like really big on that. I think it really helps to like, instead of bottle up your emotions and keep it to yourself and try and hold on to everything, even just letting it out and talking to, maybe talk to yourself, that might even work for some people. Just letting it out, expressing it so it's in the open, acknowledging it, and then finding ways, like once you've dealt with that emotion, finding ways to then manage that and become healthier. So I really like how you said that, like how talking to someone is was a big thing for you, because I think for those listening, like maybe there's people here who struggle to talk or struggle with their own negative emotions, and I think that's like a really big thing, is like talking to someone, and like literally anyone that you feel comfortable with, because you don't want it to be someone you don't feel comfortable with for
I think that's safe.
Pretty
that
obvious
safety piece
reasons.
is important. Someone's safe, because some people don't want to hear your story, and it's hard enough to share your story, but then when you share it with someone who can't handle it, it's actually can be quite
it
damaging.
Can do the opposite effect. And just going back a bit on your history of working with the homeless, and that I was wondering what were like the biggest challenges you think that like the youth face today? Really
face what today or back in those days?
Sorry.
No, that's right.
Contradicted myself a bit.
No, I'm just thinking there is challenges that are dealt with then that sort of translate to in today. But I think the big thing back then was just like I said before, about being an invitation to change versus forcing it. And I think, because ultimately you can't force someone to change. And I think one of the challenges back then, and I think it still exists now, like today, is people are very quick to judge someone when there's certain behaviours that they see. And the one thing that it's like everyone's really intolerant of something until they know their story. Then you can tolerate things and you know someone's story. So I feel like out of that experience, I learnt that most of these, everyone would talk, homeless people, why don't they just do that? Why don't they just get a job? Why don't they just get somewhere to live? But then most of them had been through abusive homes, seen their parents drug addicted their whole life, dealt drugs for their parents when they're 9 years old and stuff. And I'm like, and then mental health issues as well. So you can't just expect someone makes a good choice. There's actually healing that's involved and needs to happen for people. And I feel like it still happens these days. It's like people very judgmental, quick to say, how annoying is that person? They shouldn't have done that. They shouldn't have done this. But then they don't know their story and they don't know their background. So I think a better question is, is everything okay? What's happening? Instead of just saying, why did you do that? You shouldn't have done that. It should be like, is everything okay? What's happening? And then when you understand someone's story, you go, well, fair enough that they're angry. I would be too. Or I can see why they reacted like that because they've got all this background stuff going on that no one even knows about. And I feel like, so just being more patient and letting people tell their story. And usually people know what they did wasn't right anyway when you see bad behaviour stuff going on. So, and they're like, they feel bad about it already. You don't have to tell them. They just feel worse about themselves.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that one. And also with the homelessness, I want to touch on that a bit because I don't know if viewers know this or at all, but I also do some acting as well. And when I was younger, I actually acted in this performance where we touched on like homelessness. So the director actually got like the stories of these homeless people, and he just listened to them. They shared their story, and then he created a piece from that with their words. And I was one of the actors portraying one of those people who opened up to him. Wow. And it was just an amazing story to hear. Honestly, I could probably still recite the lines. I'm not going to do that, but it was just amazing to hear like their stories. And like hearing everything that they had been through, like was so like what you said, like people would just judge and see them homeless and like not know their background. Like my person, for example, that I was portraying, had their story was them and their brother come from an abusive home and struggled with like all of that kind of stuff. And like the stuff they went through was like so traumatizing. Like reading that story, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is a lot. Like they had been kidnapped and like even like thrown out of a car. Like it was, the stuff that they went through was really like massive. And it's like what you said, like people would just see them in that state, like just being homeless and not know that story and just judge. So I think it's really important that whenever you see someone struggling or maybe acting weird or what you perceive as weird, don't just judge them. Like try and stop yourself before judging them and think, oh, maybe I can help, or maybe there's a reason why they're like that, and just have some empathy. For me, it's like an invitation is important. So you invite them. Now, most people won't talk to you straight away because especially when they've had trauma in their life, they don't trust people very easily, and for good reason, because they shouldn't, because they've had pretty terrible experiences. I think that invitation to just say, hey, is everything okay? Hey, I'm here if you want to talk about it. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff is really cool. I just think between humans, we should be doing that a lot more. Yeah, I think as well to nowadays, it's kind of a bit like humans are a bit, I don't know, like it's a bit harder because nowadays people just pull out their phone and start filming instead of, there's sometimes you'll see there is that person, like not the filmer obviously, but someone in the video who does actually, instead of pulling out their phone, goes up to the person and creates that invitation like, hey, are you okay? Do you need help? And then most of the time you'll see that person like accepting the help. But obviously you do need to be careful of like, sometimes people won't accept it. So I think that's like another challenge we face nowadays with social media. Like, people's first instinct isn't to help. It's, oh, let me get this on camera so I can either get views, likes, or I don't know. But
I think it's like just experiencing life. It's like you want to video it rather than just experience it.
Yeah.
So it's the same with helping someone. You want to video it rather than actually figuring out if there's something you can do. So I can understand. I mean, I like social media. I think it's great, but I think if you don't manage it, it will manage you for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think definitely nowadays people are way quicker to judge, especially on social media. Like you're kind of behind the profile, you're hidden, and it's like you see stories and stuff, but you don't see the full story. So it's like you just see the information people want to portray. And from that it's easy to judge. But I also think it could be like a blessing, and I was wondering if, like, over your line of work, you've worked for many years, how kind of your approaches have evolved, and if social media has kind of helped you reach people and help people, or just any different approaches in general.
Yeah, I mean, social media has definitely helped. Like we actually got we had someone steal our Instagram at some point. They hacked it from overseas, and we lost like 13,000 followers and stuff like that at that point. So we got to rebuild it. But that is what it is. You just got to do what you got to do. But I think social media is really important. It can be a way to communicate. There's so much great, like you guys are creating great content right now. It's not negative. You're not trying to rip down the world and say how terrible all the players are and this and that. You're actually trying to do something positive and use basketball as a tool to get that. So I'm like, there's plenty of people like you guys that are out there and plenty of socials that are out there. Unfortunately, a lot of the clicks go to the negative stuff, but then that doesn't mean people are absorbing it in the way that they can absorb something like this. So I think like people could listen to something like this and actually it could impact them and change them, whereas the negative stuff doesn't really impact and change them. It's just like, I don't know, people just feel like they should click it or something. But I feel like the stuff, and I feel like what's going to get more and more traction is stuff that impacts you and stuff that changes you. And you even see like there's a few social places like Good News Dog and stuff like that, which is just all good news stories. So it's like people doing great things for other people, or a really cool story like a teacher, look what all the kids did for the teacher, or this and that. So I think that stuff, if again, power to the people, if they follow the positive stuff will get better airplay. So I feel like it's up to us to actually do something about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a good way to like even just touch people that you don't really even know, because like sometimes I'll be scrolling, I'll see like a nice video of someone donating or something. It's like it inspires you kind of to make a change yourself, like to try to fix it. And
yeah, absolutely. More of that stuff I'm all for it. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I want to touch on charity bounce. You know, it's a big. I think that's a big thing in all of our lives. But since you were the co-founder, am I correct with that? Yeah. Yep. So how did you? Yeah, you said before when you were talking that it just started with an idea. So where did that idea come from, and then what has it turned into now?
Yeah, I think it comes back to the inclusion piece. So when I was with the National Basketball League, like all the clubs were doing certain community initiatives, and but a lot of that, like there were some great, really like organizations and clubs that wanted to make an impact, but a lot of it was like going out, promoting games and tickets, which they should do, and nothing wrong with that. But I think when I was there, I really started to think about, hey, why don't we do this and why don't we do that? And there's so much opportunity to use basketball because it is one of the most inclusive sports. Like you've got the women's game is amazing. You've got young men, young women play it. It's one of the biggest participation sports in Australia. You've got, national disabilities teams. Like it's like you can actually embrace so many different groups and so many different people with sport. And it's one of the culturally appropriate games. Like, any newly arrived refugees, they'll know soccer and basketball generally. They won't know the local codes for Australia. So it's actually a way that you can connect to people really quickly. So I think when I was there and I really started to think about this is what it could look like, and then, like I said, the league got moved down to Melbourne and I ended up staying in working with Sydney Kings at that time, and then they had a new owner. We transitioned to independently, which has been great. So that's when we really became Charity Bounce. It was really early as we were starting to do some work, and then launched independently as Charity Bounce, and it's been doing it ever since now. So, but just love that opportunity where you can, Central Australia, First Nations, also within First Nations, you get a lot of communities where, they might have a men and women's sport like AFL or softball, but basketball is one of those ones that across the genders, they can both be on the court playing at the same time. And that happens in all communities, really. Like even a program we did out at Liverpool once, we ran in a primary school, and when we sort of first started Charity Bounce, and there was a young student there in a wheelchair and on the basketball court could participate in the sports. So that was a sports event. We had a passing game. We had to pass it into one of the nets and it bounces back to you. So whoever did the most accurate passes won that competition, and they actually won the competition. Mm-hmm. So, and a young person in a wheelchair was just like winning a sports award, participating in the sports program for the school. That wasn't something that you could do with other sports, or many other sports anyway. So that kind of thing for me, it's all about, this is something that you can put a 7-year-old on the court with a 17-year-old and they'll still touch the ball. Try put a 7-year-old on the court on a soccer field with 17-year-olds, they won't be, unless you put them in goalie and they might get hit a few times. Really, not many options there to run around the field, whereas basketball is different.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially if they're fast, they get a few steals.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got a few kids like that I coach, yeah. But what you've done with Charity Bounce, it's like amazing to see. And I was wondering how you think basketball like helps the youth and normal youth and like people who are disadvantaged as well. Like, just how do you think it impacts them? I know you mentioned inclusion, but are there other ways as well that you think?
Yeah, well, I think team, and I think I love, and what we talk about a lot is that trying to make a place where everyone's welcome. So if someone new, because a lot of teams you're competing, or like some of those skills camps and things, like you're competing against everyone else to look better, whereas we really try to promote help the other person be better. So help each other be better and try to build a culture of really building into other people, which you have obviously done for years now. And so for us, that's what it's about. So there's so many like amazing people that actually want to grow, want to develop, want to change. And it's really just saying, hey, how can we help you get better? How can we help you get better on the court? But then also, how can we help you get better in life? And it's all about support and promotion. And I'm a big person around leadership. So I'm like, help people to just believe in themselves and become leaders for their own lives and also for others. And the more people we have that take leadership as a serious thing, that actually I want to lead the team, I want to lead myself, and I want to lead others to be better, the more people we can develop like that, the better. So I'm like, that's what, for me, a lot of it's all about, that culture of developing each other, supporting each other, encouraging each other. Like we were talking about with social media, instead of being negative, it's like, oh, you did terrible here. It's like, hey, how can we help you get better at that? I'm really, really big on that just in general across the programs. And I think, to be honest, all the coaches and all the youth coaches and everyone that's involved in the programs, I love it. Like, I just love seeing them actually care about how do we help people get better, because the basketball is fun and it's engagement piece and everybody loves it and it's inclusive. But the real thing is, how do we use it to help people do better in their lives and get better futures and all the stuff that we can try and support? How do we build hope and how do we help them on steps towards what they want to be?
Yeah, I think basketball is definitely a great tool to let people like express themselves, even from like just the way you play. Like, some people might be a shooter, some people might be dribbling and stuff, but also how you talked about the leadership and stuff. Like, in places you wouldn't expect it, leaders arise. Like, they might manage the team, help each other up, and it's just a great way to stay connected and ultimately inspire everyone. So
yeah,
it's definitely good. Just a question about Charity Bounce, because obviously I assume when you started it, you had your goals and stuff you wanted for it, but did you kind of like ever envision it would get this big, like not just helping people across Australia, but also moving internationally and reaching people all over the world?
Oh, I'd say yes. It goes way too slow for me. I'm like one of those people who just sees it global and with, so for me, it's like going way too slow for what I want it and could see it becoming. Like, I would just love, it's so encouraging to hear like some of the guys got together with heard about the coaches from Ghana and Fiji, and for me, it's like sharing across cultures is like amazing. Like, the diversity of people on this planet and how can we learn from each other and support each other is like, so to see that starting to happen is exciting for sure. But yeah, I wanted it done in year one. Yeah, which is why I think I went to burnout, because I was just pushing too hard all the time.
Yeah, I really love that. Like, yeah, you've just been honest though and just said yes. Some people might be like, no, I didn't think it'd be there. But like in their head, they're like, yeah, I did. And like, yeah, I think it's important, like, as well, you mentioned the burnout. Like, it's great to have these big, amazing goals. I think that's amazing. You have to make sure that you manage like yourself as well and look after yourself to make sure that those goals actually become a thing as well. So you touched on Ghana a bit. I heard the mention. I mentioned it earlier at the beginning. Obviously, me and Tyler are both half Ghanaian, and we just came back from there. So I'd love to hear about what's happening with Charity Bounce in Ghana and how that came and everything.
Yeah, well, we've been working with a few years ago in 2020. We won the Beyond Sports Award, which is a global award for using sport, and it was around getting young people ready for employment and careers. And we won an award. The year after, the guys that run a soccer program in Nairobi won. And we connected and just started talking for like 6 months. We're just chatting, saying, hey, how's it going? What's happening? Hey, can we help each other? So we're just learning from each other. And he's been running programs in Nairobi for a long time. And they wanted to start using basketball because it was growing in popularity in Nairobi. So we started to support them and we're just giving them stuff they could use and sent some basketballs. And then eventually we set up a bounce club there in Nairobi that they were running, trained the coaches. So through that, I think there's been a few other South African nations that have said, hey, we'd love to get access to the training. And I feel like for them, they're just trying really hard, but they've got no resource, no training. They're just doing the best they can with what their own experience is. So for Ghana, we've got a program starting. They've been running stuff in the area for ages, but really starting to train them on how to use the basketball, how do you integrate this into, we train some youth coaches, so letting them access our training. Tracy Williams, amazing guy, completely incredible and has an ability to just see how this, if you talk to Tracy, he sees it across the world, same as I do. So we're very one heart about let's try and make the biggest difference we possibly can over the rest of our lives. And so really getting access to him to do some training and those kind of things as well. And there's a few other nations coming on board, but Ghana's activating now. So that's going to be happening in the next few months. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. It would have been so cool if it happened the same time we were there. But, as I am a coach, but it's all right.
Well, you may be doing a trip over there at some point.
Yeah, exactly. Go back, visit the family. It's great to see happening and in all the other countries as well. It's really amazing. I was going to say yes. So I also wanted to talk about maybe some success stories with Bounce and like what you've seen created through that. I know personally for me, started in the program as a player, playing, getting training through Tracy and learning from him and like hearing from him really helped with my confidence and all that. And then now I'm a coach, hoping to do the same thing and help other kids as well with their goals and dreams and everything like that. So I'd like to hear if you had any personal stories that you've seen.
Yeah, I think all the success stories for me are people that have used the program that we've been trying to make accessible for them and they've used it to grow or develop or get stronger. And I mean, an example of that is we had one of our first women's all-star teams, like a elite team that we put together. We put them in an elite tournament anyway, not necessarily we're an elite team, but we had a young lady who was newly arrived refugee from Afghanistan join the team and never played sport in her life at all, ever. So didn't know how to shoot, didn't know how to dribble, didn't know all of that. So we had one of the coaches was just trying to teach her the basics of basketball, but really wanted to be a part of the team. So we said, yeah, come on. And then got her involved, taught her how to rebound. One thing anyone can pretty much learn how to do, box out and catch a ball. And then ended up she actually got voted captain of the team, not because of her skill, just because she was so enthusiastic and really hungry to learn and wasn't the most skilled player, was happy to sit on the bench and come in and just, find a role that she could do. And so for me, that's a success story, someone who's actually come to a new culture, new country, been a part of it and actually stepping into leadership straight away, like with other people from different backgrounds. And so that's kind of a success story for me. The other one, I mean, all of them to me relate to young people that have stepped up. So for me, the ambition is all of our coaches come from within the program, become leaders in their own communities. So out in Indalkina, we've got programs running. It's in APY land, South Australia. A lot of senior students from the school are running that program. So for me, that's creating leaders in their community. So the biggest piece for me is success is around young people stepping up into leadership, stepping up into their own futures. I think we've got, when we see career pathways. So one of the coaches actually, wanted to study architecture, didn't want to be a basketball player when they finished, wanted to be an architect. So I helped and supported them into an architecture course. So for me, that's a win, that's a success because you're creating a pathway towards a future that they want. So anytime we can do that, always think I'm so happy.
Yeah. Hearing those stories is definitely great because it literally proves that it doesn't matter where you come from, how big you are, how good you are, as long as you come in and just play your part, like everyone has equal chance to kind of succeed and become captain and learn some new skills. So it's definitely great. And hearing like a lot of what Charity Bounce has already accomplished and how you've touched a lot of people, what's kind of like some future plans? Like how do you try to want to expand it in the future? I know you talked about briefly reaching more countries and stuff, but
I think, to be honest, I got to own probably one of my mistakes I've made is because I'm just so passionate about what we do and the programs and the quality. So I've focused so heavily on just making sure we've got really good programs. But probably my future step is because to make a difference, you need to make money as well. So everything costs money. So for me, a big focus for me becomes over this next period is like, you've got really good programs, great people, everything's working really good. Got all these partners in different locations that want to start working with us, including Central Australia, overseas, even within Australia. But you need resource to do that. So my big focus for myself is, okay, the bit I enjoy is just seeing the programs and building the programs and seeing them become what they can be. But the big piece for me in the future is, how do I resource this that it's more sustainable? We can expand and actually take on more partners like, Ghana and different locations. And we've, talking to some different cultures in different countries that want to be a part of the programs, but all of it means people and support. And so a big focus for me is, how do I build the resource available so that we can do more?
And speaking of that help, if there's anyone at home who'd like to help, or any organizations or people that would like to partner, how would they help?
I guess there's a few different ways. So, on the website, anyone can make a donation. So public donations are great. In terms of partners, I'm always about, what can a long-term partner look like? So companies-wise, I've been partners with Under Armour and different people over the years, but corporations that are actually thinking about, okay, what would it look like to partner with an organization for not just give a one-off donation, but work with them ongoing? How do we build a community together? How do we build some programs together? So that's kind of a big focus for me now, is about who those partners are. So we've had partners come and go, and so my real focus at the moment is I'm talking to a few different potential partners about, let's do something that's beyond 1 year. Let's start a new project. Like, we're talking with something in the US that potentially could do some student exchange program stuff, which would be great, possibilities. And so looking at what's a partner look like for a long term, and just for everyday people, make a donation, that's great. Become one of our regular givers. We've got people that donate a certain amount every month, depending on what they can do. So every little bit counts. Like, we just try to make every single piece make as big a difference as we possibly can with each and every dollar. So
amazing. I was also wondering as well, do you have any advice for young athletes who might be struggling with, it's kind of broad, I don't know struggling with what, but just struggling, I guess, in their life, and advice for them?
Yeah, I would say a big one is just keep going sometimes. Like, find people that can help you, number one. But sometimes it's just, like, I think, I can't remember if they're talking about Luka Doncic with this. Like, if he misses a shot, or if any of the great players miss a shot, they just go to their next shot. Yeah. What's my next thing I got to do? What's my next thing I got to do? So don't get down on yourself. I feel like it's so easy to beat up on yourself when you make mistakes, and especially if you've had a challenging background, no one's really taught you how to deal with that very well, and you've just been learning it by yourself. Like, reduce your expectations on yourself to be good at it. Just say, hey, I'm not very good at this. Can someone help me get better at this? Because I get really emotional on the court. When I make a mistake, I just end up hanging my head in shame, and I want to sit down on the bench, and like, how do I deal with that emotional stuff, and how do I get better at that? Because sometimes I just think it's like, you will fail. I think it was Roger Federer recently talked about this, and he said, I just think about the next 15 seconds. What's my next shot going to be? What's my next? I never thought about, and he did the statistic on how many shots he'd missed, and it was just under the ones he'd made. It was like 47% versus 53%, but that's enough to win games. So he's all like, I failed almost half the time, but that's okay. But you just got to think about what's next. And I'd say for young people, you've also got your whole life ahead of you. Young people have got, like, I feel like there's so much pressure to feel like I need to know what I need to be. I need to know who I am. I need to succeed in this or succeed in that. It's like, well, you don't actually have to do it in a year. Like, give yourself 10 years or something. Like people that I know that are 50 are still trying to figure out their lives. Like, don't be too hard on yourselves here, and don't, like, just, if you know what you want to do, go for it. If you don't know, it's okay. Just figure it out when you figure it out. Take your time.
Yeah, I think that's a really beautiful piece of advice. Just, keep going. And like you mentioned with the failing as well, we've got MJ's favorite quote, I've forgotten. I'm airing a blank, but
What about
I'm
missing
sure.
a shot?
Yeah. I'm sure the listeners know what I'm talking about. And that's like something that as a coach, like at Charity Bounce, I always try to put into the young athletes we have there. Learning through Tracy and like what the program has showed me, like about how we can use basketball to not just create basketball players, but also to help people with their goals outside of basketball. Most of our kids that we have, like I work at Arncliffe, most of them do want to pursue basketball, but there's some of them who are like, nah, I'm just playing for fun.
Yeah.
And so we want to help them as well, whatever they want to do, we want to help them with that. And the ones who are also like, yeah, maybe basketball, but like they don't really believe in themselves.
Yeah.
So my thing is always like, making sure like you stay resilient and just keep going, keep pushing.
And even if you try really hard and you work really hard and you don't succeed at basketball, learning to work hard and try really hard is a really good skill that can get you places in life. That's a good skill to develop.
Yeah, definitely, which is also what we try and do, get those skills that don't just translate in basketball but translate in life, which is like what drew me towards Charity Bounce and like staying with this is just, I think, everything that you do, and I guess I do since I coach.
You do more than me these days. Like, it's fantastic.
I think it's really amazing, and I love the idea that because it's given me this opportunity to help people. Already I want to do so much more, but it's given me, I have to sometimes, congratulate myself a bit because I'm a bit hard on myself, but to look at what I've already done with the young people as well. And I'm going to strive to be better, of course, but I think it's, for those listening as well, I think it's important as well, like to notice when you've done something good and to give yourself like that congratulations, like make sure you're proud of yourself, you're there for yourself. It doesn't mean that you can't be like, oh yeah, I'm done. Like, you can still keep going higher while also looking back at what you've done and being like, damn, I did a pretty good job so far. I think that's important as well.
That was a big one for me. I think even when, I was just feeling a lot of pressure and feeling close to burnout, is I just didn't stop and celebrate enough. So now I've just learning to still, probably going to learn this my whole life, because I'm just, like I said, I just see what I want the future to be like. So I don't stop and celebrate when we're one step closer. I'm like, okay, that step's done, now the next step. So I'm learning to celebrate more and just stop and go, well done, like, good, we got this and we've done that, or I've done this or I've done that. So just celebrating is a really great skill to learn for sure.
It is hard. Like, I struggle with it myself. Like, even though I'm saying do this, it's something that I do struggle with myself. I'm like, yeah, I did this, but like we could be doing all of this and this and this, and it's like, mate, just look, you did this, great job, let's be proud, and then we can keep going. But
I struggle with all of it still.
Yeah, definitely.
You got to constantly remind yourself all the time.
literally.
It definitely showcases how the skills on the court as well, but like translates to your outside life. Even you see the NBA players, even for example, like after they finish their careers, they go on to maybe like write some books or have a charity themselves and stuff like that. And talking about the failure, how you spoke about it, I think that's really great, because I think the number one thing that creates the most success is actually failure. Like, that's the best way to learn is from your own mistakes. You can then correct them and stuff like that. But end of the day, you just got to never give up, really. Pretty cliche, but it's the truth.
Anyone that's succeeded at anything has failed a lot of times. Anyone. There's no one in the world that hasn't got there without failing.
And it's also important to look at failure as not always a bad thing, like we were saying, like you need to fail to make it. It can also be like a loss, for example. I know one of the things Tracy taught us, a loss can just be a lesson as well. You learn from it.
What's he saying? It's like you lose some, you learn some. So you either lose or you learn. It's your choice.
Exactly. So yeah, I think that's all really important. Great advice there. And also, before we wrap up, I also want to touch on, you said what was his name, Roger or something?
Roger
Roger Federer.
Yeah, right. Yeah. The 15 seconds. What is he going to do in that next 15 seconds? I think that's really important as well, like you said, and also like how me as well, like I'm always thinking of like the future and like what I want to do. I think it's important sometimes not just to congratulate yourself, but take a step back and look at what you're going to do in the next 15 seconds, live in the present, be in the present. And that's just with everything, appreciate the beauty in life as well. So.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing around focus too, which I think basketball teaches you focus. So, and that's where you can focus on one skill or one achievement or one area, and that's how you get better at it. And I think it can be the same, especially with dreamers. I love dreamers. Dreamers are fantastic. I'm a dreamer. But you can have 1,000 things in your mind. And sometimes I'm learning just to get better at, can I just focus on one and do that well and get that one done? And that's what we're trying to do at the moment with Charity Bounce. Really, we took other people to, rein my dreams into something that we can actually, what's the first place we could start? Because I just dream about all these different possibilities. But you just got to be able to say, okay, well, I'll execute one well. What's the first one to execute? What should I execute well first?
Yes, yeah, I think that's a really good piece as well. Yeah, perfect something instead of trying to be just average at so many things. Work on perfecting one thing and then focus on the next thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to mention or ask about before we end?
No, really, just it was great hearing like kind of the other side of how basketball can reach people in touch and kind of help the disadvantaged youth and stuff like that. It's beautiful. Like, when I watch basketball, I think it's beautiful, like the way they play, but then the other side of it's just as beautiful, even more, like how it can touch people and really inspire them. So appreciate all the work you've done and that you will continue to do with Charity Bounce and everything. It's really inspiring.
Thanks so much. Now I'm going to go learn all the NBA GMs. I feel like a failure. I'm like failed so badly.
I don't know.
That's one of those ones you challenge yourself when you fail sometimes.
Exactly.
You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for having me. And haven't been great at the basketball content, but that's never what I'm great at. But I definitely love talking about the stuff we have. So thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for coming on. And before we end, we always ask our guests, is there anything you'd like to shout out, anything you'd like to mention about Charity Bounce, or anything else that you're doing that you'd like to mention to the viewers at home?
It's always a shout out to the young people at Charity Bounce. They're the reason we exist and the reason we do what we do. And people like yourself, just amazing. I love seeing you do a podcast. It's fantastic. It's like the world's just opening up for you and starting. So like there's so many possibilities so I just, shout out to the young people that are part of our programs every day and all the coaches that go week in, week out and commit, like Jenny, different people that commit to just seeing young people do better and seeing if they can help. So that's my shout out.
Beautiful. I love that shout out. And thank you so much to our viewers at home for watching, for listening, for staying tuned. Make sure you also like, follow, subscribe, do all those cool things. If you've got any constructive criticism, would be blessed to hear on how we can improve. And yeah, yes, that's it. That's a wrap.